Right, so picking a New South Wales rugby team. I'm looking at guys who were born in New South Wales and have a current Super Rugby contract. So I've done this for Auckland, the North Island of New Zealand, the South Island of New Zealand. It's now time to look at the Aussies. And I think more than half of the Aussie Super Rugby players come from New South Wales. So that makes them a good fit for a team. I'll probably try to compare them against a rest of Australia team at some point, but we'll start with the New South Welshmen and see how we go. I've gone for a kind of particular style team, so that'll kind of become evident as we go on. Start with the loose head. I've gone for Scotty Seo. He's an established Wallaby, established Brumby. He's been on the scene. I think he's 26 and from Sydney, but he's been on the scene for what seems like forever, since he was probably about 20. And yeah, very, very good player all round. Doesn't really seem to have many weaknesses, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with him as my loose head, to be honest. I think he's almost had 50 caps for the Wallabies by now, so a combination in himself of both youth in terms of being under 26 and a prop, but also experience. Hooker's a harder choice because in Australia right now, nobody really knows who's going to be the Wallabies' first choice hooker. But I've kind of taken a safe choice and gone with Damien Fitzpatrick from the Tars. So he's 28, he's from Sydney. But since he's come back to Super Rugby from his time in Europe, he's looked pretty good. I believe Checker kind of gave him the tap on the shoulder to come back. And yeah, seemingly with good reason. He's looked impressive so far. Not setting the world alight as the world's best hooker. He's not kind of at Malcolm Marks level, but he's solid and he's doing all right. So I think he's probably a Wallaby in the kind of waiting at 28. He's at the peak of his powers, so we'll see what happens with him. On the tight head side, I'm going to put some experience in, and I'm going with Sikopi Kepu. So he's 32. He must be almost at 100 Wallabies caps by now, from Sydney as well. He's not going to let you down as long as he's on the field. He doesn't do what he did against Scotland. Yeah, puts his body on the line. Strong player. Pretty happy with that front row. I don't think this front row is going to get bullied around too much. In the locks, gone for a kind of young player in Matt Phillip from the Rebels. So he's only 24. He's just shy of 2 meters. He is from Mona Vale, which I believe is in kind of Greater Sydney. Yeah, he's looked impressive from what we've seen of him this season in the Rebels. You know, he's a mobile, energetic player. He's got pretty good all-round skills. You know, he's kind of showing why he's played a couple of games for the Wallabies. So he's not the biggest kind of guy. He's not like an Arnold brother or a Skelton style lock, but he's more of a work rate and skills block. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with him there. The next guy, I think, will probably depend on who you're playing. If you were playing a bigger forward pack, you might go with one of the Arnolds, but for most games, I think I'm going to start with Sam Carter. So he's a bit bigger than Matt Phillip. He's topping 2 meters. He's a bit heavier. He's got more experience. He's 28 from Sydney. So, man, he's been around for a long time with the Brumbies and a long time for the Wallabies. So sometimes he gets accused of being a bit soft, but provided he's got that grip between his teeth, then I think he will do the business with this kind of type 5. So yeah, a mixture there of some older and younger guys and a combination of kind of a bit of size and skill. The loose forwards, I've gone for a very particular theme. So on the blind side, I've gone with the probably underrated Colby Fainga. He's 27 and from Queanbeyan. 27, I can't believe he was 27. It seems like only yesterday that he was kind of coming through the ranks and was just like the next Fainga off the rank after his brothers. But yeah, 27, so he's another guy who's kind of entering that top point in his career where he should be doing it. He's a really good tackler. He makes tackles like nobody's business. He's a tackle machine. Gets a few pilfers, so He's not like a Jerome Kino or Willem Albert's kind of big blindside, but he's definitely got some skills about him. So I think over the ball he is going to be a threat, and defensively he's going to be an asset. At number 8, I've brought out a classic. I've gone for George Smith. So he's a legend, 100 plus caps for the Wallabies. One of just a Wallaby legend, like I said. So I'm kind of going for this theme of a bit of mobility and getting guys over the ball. So they're not going to be a huge back row, but if you get tackled, you better get some ball out quickly, because you're going to have a Hooper as well getting over the ball. So Hooper at open side. Oh, by the way, Smith is from Manly. Hooper's from Sydney. It's like central Sydney. Does Manly count as central Sydney, or is it suburban Sydney? I don't know. So Hooper, he's a class open side. He's quick. You saw what he could do with Pocock for the Wallabies when they had the pooper thing going on. So I think the combination of Fainga, Smith and Hooper is going to be a real threat at the breakdown. So they're not huge, but they're gonna tackle all day, and they're going to turn your ball over. So it's a particular style of play. Depending on who you're playing, you may have to switch one of them up. And like I said, you might have to put one of the Arnold brothers in to kind of disrupt maul tactics or that kind of thing. But for most games, on a hard surface especially, I think this is a pretty good lineup. For the backs, I've gone pretty safe. So I'm starting with traditional Wallaby and Waratahs pick in Nick Phipps, who is from Balcombe Hills, which is another greater Sydney suburb. So yeah, he's a pretty safe choice. He's been around the block with the Wallabies. He's kind of won a Super Rugby title. He's got a lot of experience. He's getting a bit long in the tooth at 29, but he's still quick enough. Gets that ball out enough to hold off some of his younger rivals at this stage. 10, another safe choice. I've gone with Bernard Foley. So he's been playing with Phipps for a long time. I think they're going to make a pretty effective combination. You see what kind of TJ Perenara and Bowden Barrett can do with all that game time together. You build that almost non-verbal communication. These guys should have that. Foley's 28 from Sydney. He's another safe pick. He's the Iceman. He's the one who slotted that penalty to win Super Rugby title for the Tars. So no problems with having him at 10. Inside centre, I have gone for Kurtley Beale. So another guy who should have a pretty good understanding with Foley. He's from Blacktown. He's an X-Factor player. Some guys get annoyed with those kind of risk-reward plays that he sometimes runs that don't pay off. But, he's a guy who can get you a try from pretty much anywhere. When he's on form, he's one of the best players in the world. So, I think he's still got his gas, and he's a decent choice for 12. For 13, I have gone for Reece Hodge. He's 23, so a bit of youth. He has got the big old boot. He's got one of the biggest boots in rugby. So if they do decide to play a bit of kind of test style kick and penalties rugby, if these guys are getting some turnover penalties, Hodge might be able to boot him over from just over halfway. So it's just another threat that the team adds. Now, the wings were something of an issue because a lot of the Aussie wingers are not born in Australia. You look at guys like Spate, Naya Ravoro, Nambuli, like a lot of these guys are Fijians, Korobidi. So, wing was tricky. On the left wing, I have gone with Andrew Callaway, who's also from Sydney. He's a bit bigger than I thought. He's 1.84 m and 90 plus kilos. So I thought maybe because just the size of players generally nowadays, I thought he was a bit smaller than that. But he's looked all right. And what we've seen of him, probably still has a bit of potential to go because he's only 22. So he's not like a Korobidi X-Factor player, but he's a solid all-round winger. On the other wing, I have gone for Jack Maddox, who's been tearing it up for the Rebels this season from the wing or fullback. So he's 21. He's a bit bigger at 1.94 m. Also from Sydney. So he's, like I said, been having a really good season thus far. He's got real gas. He passes well. He kicks well. So I think he's a pretty good choice. I'm pretty happy with having him in the team. Really looking forward to see how he goes kind of with Aussie rugby in the next few years. Hopefully he can kind of stick around and just keep developing because he's on a pretty good path at the moment. And at fullback, there's only one. Israel Folau. So he's from Minto, which is in Sydney. So 29, one of the best players in the world, basically. There's almost nobody better at taking a high ball than Israel Folau. He just plucks the thing out of the air. You could probably shuffle him to one of the wings with the way he's been playing, especially the right wing. But yeah, he's just got silky skills, high ball work, decent boot. Not enough to play AFL boot, but he's got a decent boot. And yeah, just always looks class, and he's always a threat when he's got the ball. Sets guys up, offloads. Magic player. So that is the New South Wales 15. Like I said, there was a bit of thought that went into like that back row, the combination of 9, 10 and 12. The wings, it took me a bit of decision making, and you could probably look at maybe switching some of these guys around, but for a first crack at it, I'm pretty happy. What do you guys think? How do they look? And yeah, I'll go through the old rest of Australia team at some other point and see how they compare. All right, guys, that's it from me, and I'll talk to you again next time.